How about something not news related?
You ever see that WhatsApp or that TikTok where it's like you're watching a thing and you go to the Gurdwara and the guy in the next stall is just like yakking?
Yeah, the one I sent you,
Yeah,
man.
you said that one, right? I mean, I just went through like that cough and such a
Yeah,
mucusy cough that I felt like I was reenacting that video, but it wasn't intentional. And I was
yo,
like, oh shit.
the the Gurdwara washrooms are a interesting place.
Why? I mean, one,
The
I've always avoided the
smells,
washrooms.
the smells, the sounds, the textures,
You know
all
what?
there.
So I was always asked someone who's close to the Gurdwara, I'm like, yo, why does the Gurdwara have these problems with the smells? He's like,
Yeah,
bro, it's not our fault that people try flushing the most random shit down the toilet, messing up the
that can't
piping.
be it, man.
No, they
That
told
can't
me.
be it.
They're like, yo, these guys like
Nah,
say there's
they
no
don't
toilet paper,
clean.
right?
They don't clean the washroom, bro.
No,
It
no,
smells like piss.
yeah, because people are pissing on the grounds. But they're like, yo, look, diapers flush down all the time, clog up the toilets, and then you gotta get someone to come and clean it. Then they're like,
Who's
you know,
flushing diapers?
yo, people flush diapers. It was actually a thing. I remember going to a public washroom before, and they had like big signs saying, "Do not try to flush diapers."
That's
Um,
gross.
Instead, say the toilet paper runs out, people start using the hand drying paper, like
Yeah,
the
yeah, the paper towel.
paper towel. People try flushing that. That clogs it up because that's not going to break down. They're just like the amount of stuff. Feminine products. People
Hmm.
always try to flush those. So eventually, like they're like, we have industrial size, like industrial toilets with like industrial plumbing. But even then, our friggin' pipes get clogged. And once one pipe gets
Yeah,
clogged,
but
everything just gets
but
backed up.
they need industrial cleaning. That's their problem. They need
No,
industrial cleaning solutions,
I
and they need
saw
a regular staff person.
just,
Employ them. They don't even have just to clean. That's their only job.
I
There
mean,
can't be a reason why. Listen, there can't be a reason why a Loblaws washroom is cleaner than their
no,
washroom.
a Loblaws washroom doesn't get the same kind of traffic that some of these Gurdwara washrooms got. 100%.
Okay. How about the airport?
Okay, airports are a different story. Yeah,
Why
airports
is
get
it?
a
Why
lot
is it?
more.
Why is it different? Same urinals, same toilets, cleaning stuff.
We can't uphold that the Gurdwara had the cleaning staff of an airport on hand to keep the washroom clean,
Hey,
man.
they had the money.
The
They had the money.
people, the amount of money they spend on repairing their washrooms, I heard it's an ungodly amount. They're like, what's one of the Gurdwara's biggest expenses? They're like, yo, the washroom, like washroom plumbing bills. It's the one
I
unheard of.
I can't believe that. It can't be right, man.
Nah, man, look, you haven't been around too many up and in. Actually, you have. Imagine
I have been
you
around.
you sit around like some up and in for a long time, and you're like, if you keep your washroom open to them, you get the like I don't know, man. It does add up.
It does, but once again, there is solutions.
There's a
Um,
solution for everything in life. I'm just saying, not all solutions are
it,
made the
I,
same.
did you go to Molten Gurdwara when you were a kid? Were you
Yeah,
a Molten kid?
I didn't want to.
All I always remember was the Chaplaa. I didn't understand it. I still don't
No,
get it.
but what? All Gurdwara have the Chaplaa. It's not just a
Why?
modern Gurdwara thing. What do you mean,
Why is it?
why?
Why?
Because the floors get wet. You don't want to be walking around and treading in.
The your floors in your home washroom get wet?
My floors in my home washroom aren't open to the public.
That's true.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about?
It's about nothing. It's about nothing.
Just want these guys to know you got another thing coming, bitch. I'm still around.
And they were like, some of the Chaplaa were nasty, man. You just look at them like, no, I'm not putting my foot in there. I'll just hold it. I'm gonna
The
hold it. I'm
worst,
gonna go home.
the worst is when I lost Chaplaa, and I'm like, oh shit, did my Chaplaa really just get jacked to be used as washroom Chaplaa?
They just donate.
It's like, well, that's don't, yeah.
They say they belong to the streets. They belong to the
They,
Gurdwara.
yeah,
That's it.
those Chaplaa are gone now. They're not mine no more.
Yo, the
But
worst was when someone stole your shoes, though, man. Like that.
yeah, the good
I've
with the
had that
shoe
done twice
thing.
to me. I'm like, I don't understand that. Like,
Once or twice. I had one case where, and this was at someone's wedding, where I put someone else's shoes on and they ended up taking mine, and we had identical shoes. And we fortunately enough recognized. It's like, yo, he called me. He's like, yo, do you have my shoes? I'm like, yo, I was wondering why my shoes these are loose. He's one size above me, right? Like it didn't really cross my mind, but I was like, yeah, something feels off about them. But I was also like, whatever, I'm taking these. And he's like, yeah, man, I think I got yours because these are super tight on me. I was like, shit. All right, let's go shoe swap. But in that case, it was someone I knew, and so it was doable, right?
You
And
got
a
lucky.
whole nother. I mean, I don't know if I got lucky or he got lucky because he couldn't wear my shoes. I was wearing his shoes fine, and I think I jacked his shoes. Or no, I think he took off in my shoes first, and then I was left with his shoes.
So my worst story was two different sizes. I never saw the other shoes again. So
I wonder if there's a market for like stolen Jordans from the Gurdwara.
I don't think anyone takes their Jordans now.
No, not
back
no
in the
more.
day, there must.
Back in the day, there must have been like
Back in the day, there must have been, man. Yeah, I
Just
mean,
think of people trying to flex, you know?
yeah, but still, to steal, man, that's like it's just funny, right?
I heard about a wedding where someone's like a bride's fancy ass heels got stolen, and then I was like, it's kind of your dumbass problem for taking fancy ass heels to the Gurdwara part. I'm
And
like,
then leaving them there.
yeah, I'm thinking, yo, that's more of a nighttime thing. Flex your full outfit at the nighttime thing, not at the Gurdwara. Gurdwara has to be flats with like, I mean, I wear just Chaplaa, so that can still reach the washroom.
It's a special kind of person that'll steal shoes, though. Used ones at that. It's not new shoes. They're still used shoes.
Imagine seeing, especially kids' shoes. Like, I can understand, like, maybe Buddha just, like, not knowing or not intentionally trying to steal. But, like, say you're a kid and you're taking, like, a size 6, like a small kid shoe. Or, like, high school, mid school, whatever, those size 7s sneakers that are, like, run down.
But some people don't respect it either. I remember I went to, you have a kanbata at someone's house. And I wore these nice loafers. And I came back outside and, like, the back of the heel?
Someone stepped on it?
Like, no, they didn't even, like, completely destroyed it. And I'm just looking at my shoes, I'm like, who did this? Because clearly they ran into the garage where all the just, were, had to go do something. My shoes were the victim that they picked. Completely destroyed them. And I never wore them again. They're just sitting there collecting dust.
As you say that, I think about myself and think, I think I've done that before to people. Just randomly put my feet in someone's shoes to do a quick errand around the house during like a house compound.
The worst thing I've done like that is that, when you got to get outside quick and you can't find one of your Chaplaa and your wife's Chaplaa on there. I've done it. Not a good idea. Tiptoeing around the driveway.
I've gone barefoot a bunch of times. I've seen my kids try to take my shoes and I'm like, you're going to fall on your face.
Yeah. Kids love big shoes. It's weird.
I mean,
That's what they like to do.
I think it's just like, how I'm a grown up now, I'm wearing your shoes. Just like, I don't know, man. Anyways, welcome to the late episode of this week's podcast. As you can see, we're missing one of the three stooges this week.
One of the amigos, one of the stooges.
Unfortunately for him, he's on Father's duty today. So, happy Father's Day, by the way.
Yeah, about time. He's being a responsible father.
He's being an adult. So, I can't even make a joke about that. I'm like, shit, we're all going to be there. Or we've all been there.
Yes.
And we'll continue to be there because we are unforgiving. Yo, being a father is a lot like being part of the Night's Watch. It literally is, right? Like, it's...
Explain yourself.
Mother's Day is a glamorous holiday. You make breakfast for mom. You do everything. Mom's pampered. Gifts are prearranged and everyone celebrates mom. And you get together. Father's Day is a bit of an afterthought. It's like, hey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Father's Day is this weekend. Yeah. I forgot.
It's like, yeah, I should be nice to you today. By the way, here's all the errands you still got to do.
Do you think that has to do with that we really don't care as much?
That we're more forgiving on being treated like outcasts, running the long forsaken wall. It's like if people acknowledge us, it's nice, but if they don't, the watch continues.
I just can't wait till my kids are old enough to shop for their mom by themselves, so I don't have to be part of that process.
But you're still going to pay for it, most likely.
I'll pay for it. I just don't want to deal with it.
We're at the point now where, because the kid's in school, the school makes them make the gift, and it's better than anything I would have helped them make.
There you go, yeah.
And then the kid made me a gift, and I'm like, bro, and I saw a thing about this, but it's like, look, how much of this is actually you, and how much was this your teacher? Should I be thanking your teacher for the gift? It's your teacher's writing. Your teacher basically praised your hand.
All right, man.
And she did it for every single kid there. I'm like, man, you don't even know what. I'm like, tell me what you wrote in this card. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, your teacher deserves the thanks here, not you.
Yo, my daughter was jokes, man. I got a big gift bag with a bunch of tissue paper, and there was a can of Coke at the end of it. I'm like, what? She's like, you love Coke, so I got you a can of Coke. I'm like,
That's
that's a pretty good
heartfelt.
gift, man. I'm pretty happy, man. Mind you, she wanted me to drink at 9 in the morning, which was weird, but it's fine. It was still a nice gift.
I mean, I probably would. I'm
Yeah,
such a
straight up.
degenerate with. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I've always felt like Father's Day is just not as appreciated as Mother's. It's
What
not as cool.
did you buy things for your dad when you were a kid?
No.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like we were
How
totally
about Mother's?
suckers.
What kind of gifts did you buy for your mom and Mother's Day?
We did people's jewelry pendant,
Oh, fancy.
fancy. We've
That's
done.
fancy.
We always did
I did the
breakfast and food, did
I did
like
I
meals.
I did the typical thing. Like, remember when you would buy your mom kitchen utensils or kitchen products for Mother's Day? Bought her a blender once.
Mom, can you make me a smoothie? Test it out.
Just buying her more stuff to like annoy her with, right?
Or it's like, look, it's gonna make your life easier, and if your life's easier, you can be happier.
Well, when you're a kid, you think that's what she likes. She's in the kitchen, so buy her
Yeah.
this. I would buy my dad tools, honestly. So
Like we did do Father's Day gifts. Like we've always done good gifts for my parents. I feel like the second we got paid, they got tablets, they got laptops, they got any sort of tech thing we could think of. And eventually, my mom just said, "Stop buying me tech shit. I don't understand how to use. It's a waste of your money." He's like,
I
"Just come
feel like it
over."
gets. I feel like it's really hard now. My dad's easy. I bought him a bottle of 15-year scotch. Good to go. Easy. Done. No complaints from him. No complaints from me. Mom's a little bit more difficult, because you don't know. You don't know if they're gonna like it. They're not gonna like it, man. It's too stressful.
I mean, now you just got to get them gifts from your kids,
It's like, why can't we just give them the money? Give them cash. Here you go,
just
mom.
like they gave us. Like, here's all the cash back. With inflation, your $20 is now $50. Look, that was a great investment.
Yes, inflation. Back
Anyways,
at it
man.
again.
Inflation
Anyways, yeah.
never ends, man. Inflation's one of those wild things that just keeps on giving. And we were ahead of our times covering it. Everyone waited until inflation really kicked in to talk about it. We were on it.
We're like, it's coming. You know,
We're
this
like,
is
it's
a thing.
coming. It's here. And now,
Mind you, it's not a. I mean, if you've been listening to the news this week, excuse me, it's been or in general, Canadian media has been kind of touting it as a Canadian phenomenon, but it's happening all over the world.
yeah.
So the angles that guys like PP and all these guys have been taking, saying it's Trudeau's fault. It's happening all over the world, from right wing governments to left wing governments. So you know, I think everyone's finger pointing
I mean,
because
that's government,
they
right?
well, they
Opposition
don't know
blames the
what
current
they just don't
government.
know they don't know what to do, right? The Bank of Canada or the Fed Reserve or what other kind of financial institution there might be in other countries is going to raise the rates. That's what they're going to do,
But you see
you
that
know?
one thing? I saw this chart. It was like all the countries and their inflation. And then you had China, which was still like in a deflationary cycle. And they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
which one's doing it right? And I'm like, yeah, the communist country that controls, where the
they
government
control the
controls the
value of the
economy.
currency. Yeah, well, they
Yeah, of
devalue the
course.
currency, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, can you really look at those numbers? But yeah, I mean, PP is going to have an interesting week. I don't know. I think if a debate happened today, PP would be in a little bit of trouble for a lot of the comments he's made. Crypto. He was big on crypto. Crypto's crashing. So the stocks have gone down. And housing. He's talking about housing, but he himself is a landlord. So you know, his talking points are running out, man. I don't know. What's he going to talk about? He can't talk about crypto anymore. He's completely, what, 50%, 60%?
Maybe even more in some cases, depending on what it was.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk is being sued for Dogecoin. People are like, yeah, he was promoting to the point that he should be held responsible for giving financial advice. And the SEC, they're saying, might entertain the lawsuit because they
What?
hate.
Really?
They're like, yo, they hate Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe this is something that they can find some sort of like breach against. But I don't know. So like people who know me know I've been a huge crypto bro from like 2014. Uh, like I've been telling everyone, but at the same time, it became really cringy this last cycle.
Hmm.
And it's not that every cycle kind of brings new people along with it, and it gets bigger and bigger. But I've never seen a media so mad at crypto like they are this year.
Mm.
And I'm kind of like, haha, you guys are right, because because a lot of these crypto guys are mad fucking cringe. Like, they're so bad with it. They're like, this is like the PPs of the world are kind of cringe, but at the same time, like 4 years ago, we were dreaming of like this kind of acceptance into the limelight. Now we have like
Yes.
crypto.com arena, FTX arena. Like these things are huge mainstays in modern culture, sport, and everything. But now it's like mocked to the point where I don't want to defend PP and these guys where they're like, crypto crashed 50% since you made your prediction. I'm like, yeah, but from last year, it's still up 100% from last year.
Yeah.
Where are we putting this timeline that we're, change your time frame and all of a sudden you're a genius. You put a
I mean,
5-year window on it, it's up like still 6,000% on most of them, if not
are we
more.
in that generation that expects that everything is supposed to produce a fabulous return or always stay positive in 6 months? From housing, everybody thinks like that. Crypto, stocks
Yeah,
dip, they start blaming Biden. It's like, well, everything's a cycle, and if you just zoom out on your graphs, you will see that it's still
everything.
doing okay.
The
Everything's
one
okay.
the one chart that's kind of surprising that people I don't think talk about enough is gas prices.
Hmm.
So we're paying the same amount per barrel that we were paying in 2014 today.
Damn. So it's
But
taxes?
no, it's companies taking a bigger cut of
Hmm.
thing, right? Like taxes have increased too, but they've increased across the world. Not just oil companies are like, look, the barrel cost is this, but we're upping our refinement and production cost also to inflate, save off on inflation. Like we're paying more for gas per liter
Well, I mean, you could
today,
you
right?
could say like the cost of business is a little bit more, and from
See,
salaries to
that's
salaries, production
no,
to
no. Okay, so that's fair. But like
yeah.
the actual cost of things, like the actual cost of a lot of things actually goes down because of the way technology improves uh, the way we can
Yeah.
produce product, right? So I don't know, it's just weird.
I mean, like, look, these companies are generally publicly traded companies. They only answer to the shareholders. The shareholders
For
want one thing is profit.
yeah, for real.
They're
There's another.
producing that. So like the general public, like they can complain, but go drive an electric car. Don't drive. Take public transit. And they don't care. They're offering a product. Everybody wants it, and they can sell it whatever price they want. Now, everybody starts to get in this discussion. Well, it's my right for a good life. It's my right to have to buy a good home, and I deserve. You don't deserve nothing. That's the truth, right? Like we all fight tooth and nail to buy the things we want, and unfortunately, gas is priced in a way where it is way too expensive to sustain. But my hope is that things like electric cars or public transit gets better. Who knows? Maybe there's more highways being built. Hopefully, shortens your commute, and there is other solutions, right? But I don't feel sorry for the X5s, X7s, V6 engines, V8 G wagons going down the 410, the pickup trucks, Ford F-150s, and they're complaining about gas. Like you've chosen something that eats, a lot of fuel. So,
I mean, I do
make
feel
a better
bad for
decision.
like people who have contracts that they haven't been able to adjust and now they're taking a hit on stuff. Like the guys using the pickups for actual work and they weren't able to like factor rising in oil prices in their like quotes that they gave out 8 months
Yeah,
ago.
look.
But
So I feel bad for truckers, which is rare. Ranjit's not here. I'll say it today. I feel bad for them because the price, the contract for a load hasn't gone up, but obviously diesel has gone up double in price.
mhm.
That affects your bottom line, right? Like 100%. That's hard to see because the cost of business is going up. Um, farmers, farmers rely heavily on diesel. The prices actually you're seeing at the store today have not kind of taken into effect the price of diesel, which will be done at the end of harvest, because a lot of the stuff hasn't been harvested yet.
Mhm.
So when they sell that product back to the grocery stores, they will incorporate that price. The farmers are wondering, are the grocery stores and the markets going to respect that and pay them what they deserve? Or the market's going to go, no, we can't. We're not going to. And then the farmers are going to get screwed. So yes, in those cases where it's like a bigger sense, I feel for them. But look, if you're driving 30 minutes to work and you get to pay 20 more bucks, I feel bad for you, but it doesn't mean the government or the world is against you. It's just the price. You need to buy a cheaper car, maybe, hopefully a smaller engine. And that's the
Everybody
truth,
wants
right?
socialism and socialized everything when it starts affecting them, and then capitalism when they can leverage it the most. That's the one thing that
Yeah,
always drives me crazy. I'm like, are you capitalist or socialist? Because everybody wants the social uh,
yeah,
hand-me-downs and like the breaks and everything, and the rich do actually make a good use of like tax breaks when it comes to it. That I remember
yeah,
the NFL being the worst case of this, right? Like the NFL owners are the NFL is one of the most socialist leagues in terms of the way it's run and like the
yeah.
money split and everything. But it's run by like some of the biggest capitalists who've gone to where they are and gotten the teams the way they have based on like cheap
Yeah.
labor and
But I mean, if look, I think it's a balance. We're not socialist. We're not going to be. But at the same time, um, there is this kind of new kind of wave or way of talking. I mean, Jagmeet's pushing that, like, anti-big business. Businesses make too much money. I mean, what's a business supposed to do? Not make money? I don't like. I don't get the conversation there, right? If they're price gouging and there's rules for that, figure it out. Um, Tax them if you want to make new laws. Tax them, but just don't put blatant out there like, hey, companies are making too much. So let's just tax everybody. Tax the rich. Tax the rich. I mean, how are you going to incentivize people to do anything? You know, uh,
but it's one
just
of the things where it's easy to blame a nobody. Like you can't really point at which business are you talking about that's making too much money. Oh, Loblaws made this
no.
much, and then it's
He's
kind
just
of
point. It's
like,
every business. It's just every business. Let's just point and say, you know what, they make too much money. And I get that a lot in my line of work. You make too much money when that's not the truth. Um, it's just funny when everyone's doing well, no one cares, and when it's hard, you feel like people are stealing from you, and nothing has really changed. It's just the market going up and down. Um, yeah, so gas prices and people feeling bad. I mean, look, it's hard, but I see in Brampton, man, enough vehicles that I see V8 G wagons. That's all I'm saying. People driving, they don't care. You know,
yeah. I
you
was
know,
driving beside McLaren the other day, and I'm like, I was coming to
yeah,
Brampton. I was like, hey, I'm proud of you. And then I was like, your car's so small, I feel like I can crush it by driving over you with this
driving
SUV.
over it. It's but the yeah
Such a
the
hater sometimes too.
the fuel price is like I think it happened in the 70s, the oil crisis in the States, where all car manufacturers then start changing their designs. So a lot of the cars in the early 80s, like there's a transition from muscle cars to like these front wheel drive cars
They also changed
away
the
from rear
frames, I
wheel drive
remember,
cars.
because they said
Yeah,
that
like
was
everything
when the
changed to save gas, to save fuel. So there was a change, but um,
I remember the whole crumple thing. Cars became more crumpled
yeah, the
versus the
tax thing,
bodies.
I will admit I don't understand the taxes on gasoline. I'm sure there's enough tax that it's making the government good money. But at the at the backside, it's like, well, we got to pay for things. So, and we've given away a little bit too much money. So where's that money going to come from now? So, that's the reality nobody wants to really speak about. We can't keep giving away money. What's Christie giving away now? 8 billion?
Yeah, that was another thing that came under a lot of fire is the liberal plan to fight inflation was to spend $8 billion on government rebates to people to fend off of inflation. But and this is one of those weird things because I know a lot of people pull up the talking point that, and even I do it to a degree, and PP did this to the point of criticism where you blame government spending on increasing inflation,
Hmm.
and government's giving out too much money during the pandemic to people and businesses. Uh,
Yeah.
and the one thing someone said was like, yeah, you guys keep harping on the fact that governments gave out X amount of millions to people to like survive through the like you're not criticizing the government for giving the money to the businesses who use the same money to like more to survive the pandemic. They're
Yeah.
like, and then I remember someone was saying that the notion that government bailouts cause inflation isn't correct. Like the correlation isn't as strong compared to just what low interest rates cause. Like low interest
Yeah.
rates are more of a driver and factor at inflation than government spending
Yeah.
because
I don't even like my view is I don't even care the reason why. but I just don't want to run such a huge deficit that we're like we have no money, So that's my like be a little bit fiscally responsible, Just something's gonna have to give, right? Like, Ford cut the stickers out, cut this, cut that. He's gonna have to find that money from somewhere. And if it gets a program that gets, it's all a balance, right? They're trying to balance everything, but just don't take on more debt. That's what I'm saying.
You know
Like
the funny thing
that's
about that though is I feel like governments run on debt. Like debt is their currency.
do. It's not their money.
And it's kind of like one of those funny things that I always I'm like, who the hell is loaning a government that owes you $1 trillion more money? Like, how do you get away with just like, yeah, we're gonna
Like the what's in Game of Thrones, the Iron Bank, or
the
what are
Iron
they called?
Bank?
The Iron
Uh,
Bank or whatever. In our history or medieval, I guess it's medieval history, was the Medici family.
It's just an
The
interesting
Medici
thing,
family.
no? Like,
Yeah, they well the Medici family in Italy would actually fund. I think they were funding the British and the French separately, even though they're fighting a war against each other
they
and just
hedged.
making money on it.
They're like, look, man,
Just make
it's not a
make money, man.
interest is like the most genuinely like craziest thing when you think about what interest is. Because banks are just like, look, yeah, the government owes us more money. They're going to continue paying interest on it. We're going to make more money. It's like, well, what if the government can't pay you back? They're like, they'll continue to be able to make their monthly payments. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters,
And
right?
then if they can't, they'll just take out a bigger loan. We'll sell that
But
loan
which
to other people in
which
bonds.
what was it? Wasn't it Greece that almost defaulted on their loans though? It's a little while back. Something with Greece. Remember that was happening? They
Yeah,
were like,
Greece had their economy collapse and like the whole thing was like national news. I think some Caribbean country. I think El Salvador. I want
hmm,
to say it's El Salvador recently. They adopted crypto Bitcoin as their national currency, and they're like now
Bitcoin. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the king of I don't know if it was the king or prince or whatever, but whatever monarch they had was like, I'm going 100% in this. We're gonna make this our national. And I was like,
Currency.
what the
Well,
fuck?
let's rethink that strategy.
But
Hey
I don't
man,
know.
a crypto bro would say, buy the dip, bro, buy the dip, just buy the dip.
You
That's
gotta
it.
look, man. The most money I've ever made was just blindly buying the dip and forgetting that I was even doing it. Like I had an automatic bank account that would just like buy $500 every month at a time when it was ridiculously low. I forgot that I was doing it one day. I'm like, hey, yeah, I remember I set this thing up. What's it doing these days? And I remember that's such a privileged thing to say because it
That is
was
a,
such a long time ago that I had like this savings account just auto saving money for me that I didn't even realize the money was missing. Uh,
well, I mean,
and
I
then it
mean,
went crazy, and I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful. Um, but no, man, like
talk. Are you
just
saving more? Like now that the inflation talk's going, have you changed your spending habits?
not in the slightest. I need to. I should.
Really?
I really
I
ought
have.
to.
I'm actively thinking about it though. I have changed them a little bit, so
I had a recent meeting
maybe, yeah,
with my finance guy to see what type of plans we could do for my kids,
yes,
RESPs and insurance plans and stuff like that, and trying to think of numbers for that. And I'm like, let's just set up an account, do another blind. It'll go into the account, go to the RESP, go to the insurance, whatever it is. Let's just set that account up and forget about it, and I'll make do. I'll figure a way to. But I'm
yeah, yeah.
like bad at budgeting, but I'm really good at saving when I don't know I'm saving. If that makes sense.
So no, you're good at giving your money away without knowing you're giving your way money.
It's like I have a Globe and Mail friggin' newspaper account. My wife's like, "Why do you keep paying for this month to month?" I'm like, "I have an account." I'm like, "Yeah, I probably signed up for it. Forgot about it. It's still going." I'm like,
No,
"Yeah, we should probably
I,
cancel that."
I'm really bad at that too. I ain't gonna lie.
I know, like recurring payments. Like I see what the account is, and I'll adjust kind of on the fly with that. But I'm really bad at like projecting. Like, okay, this is how much money I have this month for spending. This is like I just fucking bought a new Xbox controller today because my button wasn't firing the same. And then I was thinking about how much of a dick I am for buying a controller
Yeah,
like that,
yeah, you're not saving. You're not
right?
saving. No,
You know
like for
what's
me, it's probably I'm just more cautious of like, okay, Ranji would talk about my trips. I'm probably not gonna go trips as often as I do. Certain things you're looking at it, even shopping and grocery, and you are thinking about it. It's definitely happening in the grocery stores. You are seeing people's carts a lot lighter. Uh, where I work in a particular area in Oakville, generally everybody shops at the Longos. But where I work
fancy
at the super,
man's?
No, at the super. I work at the
Motherfuckers,
super. I work at the superstore, which you people would probably shun in that area.
fancier.
Superstore's popping. It's popping right now, right? Everybody's trying to save money. So
I mean, I literally just right before this podcast went to Taco Bell and grabbed a friggin' Taco Bell Dorito
yeah,
Loco Taco Combo.
I talk about too.
Oh, let's go, yeah. And then I'm coming home like,
No
man,
wonder.
this taco combo
No
cost
wonder we're
me.
both sluggish.
I'm like, yo, this combo cost me $11 today. Back in the day, like 2 years ago, this combo would have cost me $8. That $3 is the inflation that I'm friggin' voting for
Is
PP
Taco
with.
Bell still the best? I mean, we know Taco Bell is pretty shit food.
It's
We're all in
horrible
agreement
food.
there.
Yeah, it's garbage
Okay, but
food.
are they the best value for what you're getting? You think for the amount of food?
As a vegetarian, yeah.
Oh, I never. That's a different angle.
Like my brother used to mock. He's like, it's not even meat. It comes out of a tube. I'm like, yeah, but it's beans in my case. Dude,
Yeah, but it's
beans coming out of a
delicious.
tube aren't.
It's delicious. It's just product. I don't even call it meat.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't feel guilty
no,
about
but
Taco
like
Bell
burrito,
no
I
more.
feel mad expensive about burrito boys. It
Yeah,
feels like
burritos
it's
boys.
expensive now.
It's $16 now, man. I used to pay from $10 flat for a burrito bowl. Now it's literally $16 with guac. I'm like,
See, all the single unmarried guys are listening to us like, oh, and these guys are broke boys. Yeah, wait till you pay for four people. You're sitting there with a $100
a
burrito
burrito
boys
bowl.
bill.
Yeah, that's the worst, right? When you gotta actually pay for everyone else's meal.
That's the worst.
The worst is when I have like I gotta do the family lunch. I'm like, well, there's $600 I'm not gonna see.
Yeah, man. Are you the one expected to kind of like? Are you the one who always does it,
I don't.
paying and
It's not
stuff like that?
expected. It's 100% not expected because I got two very.
No, but do you naturally have this habit of doing it?
I just do it. I'm like, look,
Yeah, I'm the same.
don't bother me with this. It's if it's at my house, I don't even want. If you even raise your credit card, I'm being insulted. And if I'm at one of my parents' houses and I'm picking the food up, I'm not gonna take your money.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yep.
listen, I have my own credit card at this point and I have my own bank account. Just save your money. You're retired now. I'm like, look, it's gonna come out of your end at some point somewhere. Just take it. But if
It's just funny though, right? Like, let's say you used to get like, I don't know, I'll give Sweet Palace as an example, or like any kind of
yeah,
Indian place. You get your one meal, you're like, ah, 12, $13. Now
uh,
it's like a $300 bill. You're like, what happened?
yeah,
I don't know, man. That kind of, I think that's where I'll probably start saving money, cooking at home. That's my
it's like, yo, we're no longer catering this meal. We're gonna do it all from home. Learn how to. Let me know what I gotta make. Let's see what you gotta make. We'll do one sabji, one dal, and we'll just do it at home. No more catering.
yeah.
Honestly, man,
It's
I just find another job. I'll start working part time on the side. I have a hard time saving. Like I
to
said,
cont- just to continue your lifestyle.
I'm very
drive
bad at
drive drive Uber for 4 hours just to have Taco Bell.
look. Yeah, it's like look, how many meals do I gotta drop off before I justify the gas and a meal for myself? 4 hours? So let's just go do it. Fuck, crypto's down. Can't cash that out right now.
Times are tough.
Times are tough, bro. You know what the craziest the thing that skewed my thought about money, and this isn't like trying to brag. I literally made 12 grand. Like I saw 12 grand get made in a couple of hours trading. And that blew my mind. I'm like, the fuck are we working for?
Yeah.
This makes right. And like
The problem is when you lose the 24 grand
yeah,
in the
in the
next
same
2
amount of
days.
time, right? That's I've been on that side of the equation too.
Exactly.
And that
Yeah.
changes your I'm friends with people who like worked similar jobs as me. Got into like we were kind of jumped into the same sort of trading courses and knowledge banks and stuff. And some of them got really, really good at it. And the guy's like, I'm honestly making a month's what I'm making in a month right now is what I used to make in a year,
That's crazy.
right? And this is where it kind of gets skewed because it's not a finite. He makes that every single month, and now he's making 12 times what he was
Well,
making in a year,
it's like to be honest,
right?
gamblers don't generally talk about their losses.
Yeah, no, but
It's always about the wins. I did this and I made this much money.
yeah, for
Yeah,
real.
but when you lose your shirt, you're not going on and promoting that, right?
I know.
So
Then you're calling up Uber and saying, how many drives do I got to do before I can get back in there? Um,
or you're looking
that,
up the Brampton Transit. I don't get
the
there.
smartest guys I knew, what they would do is they would legit make their yearly income and never trade again for that year. They're like just coasting it. They're like, there's no point in me over trading and trying to double this or triple this. I'm thankful for what I got, let me
I'm too
let,
greedy, man. I'm too greedy. Can't
yeah.
do that.
But
Yo, if you
it's
put
cute.
if you put two burgers or Big Macs in front of me, I'll have the one you're saying. Well, the second one's yours. Do you want it? Hell
No.
yeah. Do I need it? No.
Man,
I'm gonna eat it.
I got so gluttonous once when there was this 2-for-1 burger deal on Uber Eats.
Yeah,
I'm like,
man.
I gotta get this. It was a great
You
burger.
know, and
Burger.
the intention is for a couple to enjoy that, but obviously we may
I,
had other uses for it.
I was like, 2 burgers for the price of one. This is me. I offered my kid a bite, but I like, yeah, he's like, this is too much. I'm like, well, but yeah, inflation's a bitch. I
Well,
don't
I
know,
mean,
man.
in times of inflation, money troubles, and hopefully the times don't turn too dark, and we're able to get out of this too unscathed.
Did you work factories as a kid?
Yeah, every
High
summer, man,
school?
with my dad. My dad still works in a factory. I worked in his factory, so it's hard work. But I was balling in high school.
I worked I worked at Dairy World for like 2 days, and then I worked just odd like factory jobs for a little bit in the
Yeah,
summer. I think that also skewed my thinking because I'm like, worst comes to worst. Not that I'm down to go back to a factory, but I'm like, I'll make money somehow. There's unless you get like health
so yeah,
really.
I was talking to someone. I'm like, I was at a dinner last night as well, just talking to my brother-in-law. I'm like, yo, worst case, if I lose everything, I get whatever. I lose my job, I lose my career, I lose my house. Man, I still have it in me to go and find a job and work hard, and I still have that work ethic. I'm not one of these things like, oh, I won't do that job, or I'm too good for this. I've never had that. I never will. Right? So
I don't think I've ever had that pride in me. Like, yo, I can't be seen doing this.
yeah, man, dude. I
I'm a,
remember it was my last year. It was my last year of optometry school. I had finished actually. So I was in the middle of writing my boards and no, writing my assessments and then from school. So that weird limbo period.
hmm.
And I went and packed dog beds in a factory. That was my job, to make dog beds, right? So making dog beds, I'm like, man, this and working for minimum. And this is like when we're like, it's not too long ago, but I did what I did. I need the money, right? So it is what it is. I needed a job for a few weeks, and I had to do it, right? So, but working with my dad in a factory, and that's a lesson I hope I can somehow emulate to my kids.
Yeah.
The notion of hard work, or your life is better than most people's. Like working with my dad in a factory, and what we made is foam-based products like food service containers,
Uh-huh.
the ones that fold, or the
Yeah.
foam plates. Hot factory ovens of over 400 degrees. Uh, you know, the ovens are going off. The foam's getting melted. You're packing away, sweating. Heat waves in Toronto. They give us a sponge to put on our head. They'd even let us go home from work, right? So, yeah, I've seen hard work like that, and obviously worked in a variety of factories. But um, looking at that kind of, or having that experience, just lets me know that I have it in me. Push comes to shove, I'm good. I'll drive a truck. I'll drive any. You tell me what you want me. You want me to drive an Uber? I'll go drive an Uber, right? Like I don't have that pride. Some people have this ego. "Oh, I can't be seen doing that." You got to do
Yeah.
what you got to do. You got to do what's right for your family. So
Fair
it
enough.
is what it is.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, talking about uh, hard economic times. In hard economic times, we generally look to our arts and TV shows to give us some
that's a
happiness.
beautiful segue because I looked at the list. I'm like, what? How did we go from here to there?
And to provide some levity in our respective lives. And I surely needed this week. It was a hard work week, and I got it at the end of the week watching the newest episode of Obi Wan. What's your thoughts on that latest episode?
On Obi Wan, I thought it was a
Please tell me.
beautiful episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. This was the best one in
I
my
thought it was the
opinion.
best. I think it's the best thing of that whole discussion we've been having from Mandalorian to.
Yeah, no, this was the best Star Wars feature, and even like as a standalone thing because it does so well at tying in so many character arcs that the movies go into later. Like how
Yes,
villainous is Vader, how smart is Vader when he's like, "You thought I did not recognize you, young Padawan or
yes, and
youngling," and then he
and
killed
even the
her.
even the control of the Force.
Oh, when he pulled
we
down the
don't,
ship.
we don't, yeah, we've never really seen the extent of it. A little bit, but not to that extent.
And he just like
And he
pulled it
brought it
back.
down. He just brought it
And then he
down, right?
tore it open. He's like, and then they took off, and the other one, he's like, fuck, I'm already gassed. I didn't get that. I'm like, yo, the other, I'm like, he just used the one arm to hold the other one. Just pull the other arm up.
It's probably exhausted, man. Needed a Gatorade.
Yeah.
But
And that
man,
was
was it a
also
good
kind of
episode?
dumb too. Now that you make me think about it, he would have sensed all the beings that were not on that one.
Unless Obi Wan was doing something, who knows? Whatever, man. Let it be. Let it be, Shinda. Hey, my biggest gripe is his movement. Okay, in one scene he's clanking around, and the other one he's like fighting and jogging in different scenes. So that's my only gripe with it. But man, yeah, good episode though. Really good episode.
I loved how it tied back into the movie scenes. Like it would cut and paste like that fight scene and
Yeah,
how
so
his
people
combat arts.
was that original footage, or was that where they used the the face altering technology they have now? Did they like? Is that a
Oh,
recent shot scene? Like
I thought it was.
I couldn't tell.
I thought it was a scene right from the original movies. Like that was actually in the movie that they just
Oh,
borrowed
I
from.
didn't recognize the scene. I just thought
Like
because
that was
I
my
don't remember
assumption.
it from the movies.
I mean, there's so
Oh,
little about the movies I actually remember that I'm like, yeah, that could easily have been a scene that I didn't remember. It's fine.
I
I've only
don't
watched these
remember that
movies like
scene.
once or twice, right? Like I haven't, as much as I like Star Wars, I don't like rewatching things. So even if they did,
I've watched the the first three a few times. Usually fast forwarding,
yeah,
to
like
be
if
honest.
any one of those
To
movies
this
came on, so much of it would be new to me again. I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot, I don't remember this.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember this scene. Cool.
But man, was it a good episode? I was
How
so
many?
impressed, man. I think next week's so this week's the last one, or I think it's this week, and it's going to be an hour and 30 minutes.
Is this
It's
episode
essentially a
8?
movie. It's a movie, man.
Yeah, it's a mini movie. I really like the fact though, and
Yeah.
they kind of left it open now too.
Yeah, I mean, the sad thing is like kind of where it's going, obviously. So it's
Yeah, I guess.
yeah. So it's only you know I guess it'd be cool to see a different side stories. I mean, what's her name? The girl from she was Vader's Padawan. Um, the dude, I forgot her name.
Ahsoka. Oh, Anakin's son.
Ashura, Ashoka, whatever her name is. Yeah.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, so she's getting her own series as well.
I think she
Uh,
deserves one.
and
She's
obviously this is going to tie into that somehow. So I think that's going to be pretty cool.
oh, it'd be cool if they like if she shows
Yeah.
up and if she's showing up in the cartoons. I don't know if you guys ever watched any of the Star Wars cartoons.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's in the cartoons. Yeah, yeah.
and her and Vader cross paths in the cartoons too, where it's kind of like I feel you,
Oh, do they actually?
Padawan. Yeah, and they
Oh,
fight,
really? Oh,
and
that's sick.
she's like,
Okay.
and he's like, "You're gone stronger," and she's like, "You've gotten weaker, Master," and then still be able to. I love their like bicker and banter because
Yeah. I mean, I just hope there's. I mean, the what's that director? He directed all the Thor movies. I think he's from New Zealand. Forgot his name, but he's directing a new Star Wars movie, and he goes, "Well, my vision is to go move or deviate from the Skywalker series. It has to."
it has to.
And
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
gotta.
to be honest, that is the best part of Star Wars. Like,
Or that is Star Wars as we know it right now.
yeah, I don't know. I think personally, I didn't like the new movies. That's just my,
I enjoyed them.
you know, I enjoyed them, but I mean, the story could have been so much cooler. Like, they just repeated. So, I mean, that's another debate that can go on for days and days and
Ever.
days. But I feel
So
like they're doing Vader justice. Put it that way.
yeah, yeah. No, the show's definitely living up to the hype. Another show that didn't live up to the hype was the new Miss Marvel show. I've yet to watch it. I've really
Yes.
not been too interested in watching it because I'm not too interested in a lot of the Marvel shows that come out because there's just so many. But
Yeah, I think I just threw it on, and I have a habit of checking them out, and then if they kind of, we'll see. The first one I just forwarded through. I'm like, okay, let's see what power she has. I don't really care about the backstory. Um, and I missed some cool things that they had mentioned. And then I watched the second episode. It feels like a teenager show. I mean, is that a
yeah, fair enough.
good way to put it? And I just don't
Fair.
doesn't yeah. Like she wants to be an Avenger or whatever. I mean, does it tie into the bigger story? I don't really care. It's just. Are we kind of done with Avengers? Is that another thing? Are we kind
I,
of?
I mean, I've been a little bit Marvel fatigued for a while. Like I
Yeah.
still haven't watched the last Spider-Man, even though everyone told me it's a great uh
Yes.
thing. I
Yes.
just haven't.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing like. Maybe it's just my
I
own
think
attention span. I'm
I
just at
think
this
it
weird age
was.
where I don't want to. I don't care.
There's just certain movies you don't want to spend the time on, right?
No, no,
So
I do want to watch it. It's not that I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm just like, it's a Spider-Man movie. I know I'm gonna get. It doesn't need my immediate attention.
I mean, Miss Marvel's trying to do too many. It's trying to be too cultural. I know this sounds weird, like for me to even say it is trying to be too cultural or show this, signs of South Asian or Pakistani culture. I'm like, it doesn't tie in with the, show it a little bit, then move on into her powers. Like it's still a superhero show. But one funny thing is someone stole shoes at the mosque. I was like, hey man, it happens to them too, right? And they talked about the partition in the first episode, and I missed that. I'm like, oh, I read it in the in a
Synopsis.
news article.
Look at
Yeah, and
this
I was
guy.
like, oh, that's pretty cool, right?
My
So
man
I
literally
mean,
had the energy to put the show on, hit fast forward to go through the show, but then caught more of what happened in the show by reading about it the next day.
hey,
And then
I'm good.
that's well, but I
I'm good.
mean,
So I'm proud of that, but I mean, at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that's my feeling. Yeah,
nah,
that's
there's just
if
so
you,
much TV that I want to watch that unless I actually sit down and press play and get a chance to binge through it all, I just don't. Boys is another dope show. I watched the first 2 seasons of, or three
I'm
seasons. The new season's
um
out. I've yet to press
new,
play.
new season. It's third season.
Yeah, so season
It's
three's
season
out.
3 now.
I want to press play and watch it. I just haven't had that. Yo, sit down and press it. Like,
So I mean, I've watched obviously a few episodes now. It's not the same.
no,
That's the
I,
first season was so good. Like it
I
was
think it's
just
because we didn't know what to expect from it. It was such a.
yes, and it was so like out of the blue. Whereas in yeah, the new season's good, but I mean
You're
if
kind of
you've
or old, tired from
well
their.
if the like the characters like Butcher or like Homelander, if you've kind of gotten used to them,
Hmm.
like it's you kind of know what they're gonna say. It's not new anymore. It's not edgy. It kind of becomes boring. So
It's like
that's
The
the way I'm
Simpsons.
yeah, I'm still watching it. I'm still giving it its respect, but I mean, no, I don't have any big interest in it.
I think
Obi-Wan's the one that's like just like I'm always looking forward to now. So
Obi Wednesday at lunch. I'm just watching it. I'm like, yeah, it's lunchtime. Let me watch
yeah,
Obi. It's the only time I know I won't get interrupted by my kids or someone screaming. Or I used to like watching TV at night. Now I'm like, lunchtime, lunch. Let's watch.
lunchtime.
It's like I'm a kid again. I can watch whatever I want. No one's here to take the TV from me. I don't got to share
Yeah,
the
so
remote.
Miss Marvel, I could pass.
And yeah, I mean, I have so much
Yeah,
anime I got to catch up on too that I know is gonna be great. That I'm just like, oh, I cannot muster time to
that's
watch.
we sound so old. Got no
We are
time.
old, man. It's not even time. It's prioritizing what you do in that time. You have these small windows of time that you got to pick and choose your battles
Yeah.
in that time, right? And so
But
for some
that
it's TV,
because
for
of
me
that,
it's gaming.
there's also an apprehension though, because you don't have enough time. You tend not to dip into a new TV series
Yeah.
or a new because you're just like, yo, I can't right now, and if I'm gonna invest my time, it better be good, right? So
So I
you
think that's where
that's
I am. I like knowing that the show's done and it was great. And I'm like, okay, I'll enjoy it. Let me go. And I
that's
hate,
that's oh, but that's what with me and Miss Marvel. I'm like, it was there, nothing else is on. Like I've watched everything, so nothing's new. That's the newest thing that came out. Let me take a look. I didn't want to spend the time. I just forwarded. I'm like, yeah, 10 minutes. I'm good. All right, let's
you
go.
know, you're old when advertisers no longer cater to your demographic. It's like, yeah, you got money, but
Yo,
you're not.
what's on your Instagram feed? And I get advertisements for home rentals, vacations, and just random. So I'm like, man, it's just like retirement stuff, planning for retirement. I'm like, yeah,
My Instagram and my like web ads are still pretty related. Like I was getting, if I show you right now, it honestly be a video game like joystick accessories for like
yeah,
video
yeah,
editing
yeah.
stuff. Um, I haven't gotten to the point where it's giving me Cialis ads yet, so thankful for that. You know what I mean?
Yo, but video games are the same thing, man. I don't know how you guys do it. I buy them, and I'm like I bought the Assassin's Creed. Was when I got my PS5 last year.
Yeah.
No, the year before. I bought whenever Assassin's Creed came over the Vikings one,
Yeah.
and turned it on maybe an hour. I'm like, man, I don't have time for this. Like, you just got to be so into it to continue. I just don't have the time.
So this is where
So
I'm kind of like an anomaly, I guess, too with this stuff. Is I'm not picking up new games so much, and when I do pick up a game, I don't want like changing it. So I bought a game recently, or I bought a game like 4 months back that I was gonna play, and I for the longest time would not play it just because I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest a week or 2 weeks of like I could do that, or I could play a game that I know I'm going to kind of have fun with. Like I'll just play Halo for half an hour and I'll be good, or 2 hours, whatever it is. And fortunately, I was like,
That's
you know what? I paid for this game. I
that's
paid the $15. I'm gonna play it. I turned it on, played it for 3 hours. It crashed my computer twice. I'm like, I don't know if I want to play that. I don't. This thing ruined my night from trying to turn it on too much.
I
I
mean,
think,
for me, that's sad, man, because like we've all played the GTA games, right? Grand
yeah, I
Theft
love the
Auto.
GTA
We've all
games.
played them. I'm telling you, if a new one comes out, like I'm sure they're working on it.
Yeah, and new one is
Rockstar's always
being built
building that.
on GTA 6.
Yes. Do you think I'll play it? Probably not.
I'd never beat GTA 5. What about that?
That is that the LA one?
That's the LA one where you had four main characters that you could switch their
Yes.
bodies between thing and do parallel
And
missions.
there's a guy in the Hollywood Hill. Yeah, I remember the game. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
remember I never passed it either.
That game is
The
what
only
6 years
the
old
only one I
now.
love passing, the one I passed was
San Andreas.
no, the 4, the one with New York.
Okay, the Nico. GTA 3.
Nico, and then there was
GTA 3.
there's a 3 with like they had another kind of mini version of it with other stories.
Okay, yeah.
And I bought that one and that was good. But those were the days, man. You had time.
GTA
Who has
San
time?
Andreas was like the last one that I remember beating and like thoroughly beating, like trying to do as much as I could and doing all the side stuff. The last GTA 5, it's literally been out since the PS3 or
Yeah.
PS2, I think. And now it went served on the PS3. No, PS3,
No, no.
PS4, and now it's out on the PS5 again.
Yeah, yeah.
So PS3 it came out. That game's
Did they've made a GTA 6? That's how out of it.
no, it's being made. It's not hasn't
It's
been
being
released.
made.
But GTA 5 is still like one of the number one selling GTAs, still number one played and most watched.
But it's
Like that.
what happens, man. Like like are those games? Are people still playing a lot of those games?
Yeah,
Like
GTA
now with
5. GTA 5 still
no,
has
no,
some
no,
of the
not
crazy
not
player base.
not so much the multiplayer. Like
Oh,
obviously we know
solo?
things like Fortnite and Call of Duty have taken off like crazy. Has the gaming mindset changed as well? Where like game role playing games such as
No.
the ones we're talking about, have they lost interest because people are so into
Elden Ring
shooters?
recently came out, one of the biggest games. I think shooters still get highlight a
But
lot of people's attention.
is Elden Ring multiplayer?
No, solo.
It's just
It's a story
but
mode game.
it's an open world, isn't it?
Open world that you can eventually go and
Okay.
interact with other people, but
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people still like their RPG games, and I think those games will always have their audience.
One of my
Um,
favorite Assassin's Creed's always been. I know the gaming sucks, but I just enjoy them. It's
yeah,
just
I
something that's
enjoy
just one.
them. I enjoy them to
You
like
know, I don't even care
up.
if I know some of them are glitchy. I don't care. I enjoyed them, so it was
I
fine.
just got too repetitive
But
with them. But no, like a lot of games are still really popular. Like people get their
dude,
niches.
Red Dead Redemption, the first one, my God, what a great!
Never played
I
it.
played that. Oh my God,
Never played it. I got scolded by people saying, "Why aren't you not playing Red Dead Redemption?" Was it 2 though? And
yo,
I'm like,
if you did you watch Yellowstone? You like Yellowstone,
I
right?
liked it. I liked the thought of the game, but
Go play Red Dead Redemption. You feel more like a cowboy.
yeah, I mean, maybe I should. But in that, do I want to go and play an old game that, or I could just play Halo
Yes.
for 2 hours and be happy?
No, Red Dead's worth it. It's
There's
like
so
watching
many
a movie.
games that are worth it, but I don't. Everyone kept on like Red Dead Redemption, dude. My buddies would be talking about like what they hunted. They're like, "Yo, I just killed a bear," and they're like, "I got a new bear cloak." I'm like, "That's dope," but I just feel like
So
some games are too deep.
but do you think so? Do the real gamers
There's no.
are the real gamers using fast travel or not using fast travel?
They're using fast travel. There's no.
Yeah, 100%, right?
The,
Yeah, man, it
defi-
takes way too long.
the
Yeah,
definition of what a real gamer is such a skewed thing.
yeah, there's no more things now.
No, man, like real
Everyone's
gamers are playing Mario Kart and they're playing
which
Tetris still.
which
There's
by the
no.
way, that the OLED Switch looks amazing. I saw
Oh
one
yeah,
yesterday. I was like, man, I want to buy one for my daughter.
I
My
kind of
wife
want to buy.
scolded me say my wife scolded me saying you only want to buy it for yourself. I'm
I,
like, yes,
I
that is true, but it looks like it's fun.
had the exact same conversation. Like, look, I think my kid's ready to get a
Yeah,
gaming system,
that's exactly
and
what
my
I said.
wife's like, no. I was like, why not? I think because I'm
My
giving my
daughter,
tablet now for like 20 minutes a day. I'm like,
no, my daughter's playing PS5. Like she sits there and plays that. Everyone's played that robot game, the main one that comes with it.
Roblox.
No, it comes with the PS5. There's a
Oh,
There's
okay.
a demo kind of game on it. It's made by
Whatever it is.
shit, I forgot. Whatever. She plays it. She enjoys it, but her hands are too small for the controller
Yeah.
to handle both joysticks and obviously the select the buttons. So I looked at the controller of that Switch. I'm like, man, this is more suited, and maybe I can have some fun with her and play with her. So,
I
but
kind of wanted a Switch again, but I know it's gonna be more me than him.
100%.
It's a
Mind
wild
you,
time, man.
mind you, I think it's only fair because I don't get the TV. All that plays on my TV is Coco Melon, Paw Patrol, all these others. So I don't have time for gaming, man. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, I had guests coming over, so I thought, should I now is now the time that I buy like a PS5 or an Xbox console just so like when I have guests over, they can play something on the big TV. Like I got all my stuff set up in my office, but I'm not gonna
is,
invite people to play
is
PC
that why you
multiplayer
bought the
games.
Xbox, the one you just bought?
No, I didn't buy an Xbox, man. I bought a new Xbox controller.
Oh, controller. I see. Okay, I thought you bought a new Xbox.
No, I had a controller. The bumper on it isn't like working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I opened it up, followed the guys to try and get it to work a little bit. It worked for like 10 seconds more, to still ran into the same problem.
Yeah, buy a
YouTube
new one.
told you,
It's not worth the time to fix it.
buddy, it's a $300 controller. So I was like, maybe I gotta fix this. Um, and
It's
now I just
three
bought
hundred.
it.
Wait, it's $300.
They have two versions, right? You can get the $230 Pro controller, which is just sturdier and it's supposed to be like not as break near as often.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, look, I'm gonna be using. I
How
play a
much? How
lot.
much is your? How much is a generic one?
$70, 75 before
I would have
tax.
gone with the 70. Go with the 70, bro.
Yeah, so now I just bought a generic one because I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
If I'm ever break, I'll buy another one. But then I realized I have warranty on this one still. So I filed a warranty on it. So now I'm gonna have two controllers, I guess. But life is tough when you're an idiot. Um,
Life is tough, man. Talking about life being tough. Life's been tough in another part of the world.
Hold on, before we go there, I know where you want to go.
Yeah.
While we're talking about
Yeah.
this media thing, I wanted to quickly touch on Bill C-11.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Go for it. Go ahead.
Totally ignored it in our politics section. Conservatives have been rightfully ranting against the liberals for this one. Pierre said he's going to scrap it if he ever gets in power, which he might. And I have whole different thoughts on like being afraid of conservatives because the liberals love scaring us, saying, "Hey, you brown boy, if you elect one of these conservatives, life for you is going to be tough." I'm like, man, you white people are going to hate me regardless. Fuck you. Uh,
All right. So what's the bill? Let's go there
anyways,
first.
the bill known as C-11, is currently in Parliament. The Liberals introduced this, and they kind of, as the Liberals do whenever they come up with some of these bills, they talk about the protectionism of Canadian culture. And so what they're saying here is on the TV, like CBC, CTV, all these Canadian channels that are broadcasting in Canada need to produce a certain amount of Canadian content. Can't just be rebroadcasting popular American stuff. It needs to be Canadian-driven, Canadian narratives. Really push Canadiana to a degree. So to preserve our culture, very okay. Yeah, maybe it's unique. We gotta preserve our culture. Where it runs into problems is in streaming platforms. It's saying YouTube now needs to modify its algorithm to be Canadian content specific to Canadians. Right? So
Yep.
YouTube, as it is, displays a lot of content. It tries to figure out what you like, and based on what you like, it'll give you those kind of videos. You like watching tech stuff? Here's a bunch of tech videos. You like watching car stuff? Here's a bunch of car videos. And it doesn't really filter out the creators. It just says, here's popular creators in this category that you seem to like. Here's their content. What this bill would do is it would put the onus on streaming platforms to push Canadian creators to you. And like Netflix would
think
need to be showed more Canadian shows. Spotify
that's
would.
okay.
So it sounds
think
okay on the surface like that, but now you kind of get into this weird other microcosm of, do you only show the Canadian creators and the Canadian content that maybe the government wants you to see? Because now the government's regulating who
Well,
they
that's
want to see, right?
well. Let's take. I think that's the same. I think the same rules apply for our TV right now and radio. Certain radio stations have to play a certain amount of Canadian content. If things like YouTube and whatever streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney are making money within Canada off Canadian viewers, are they paying tax? That's the first thing. Are people paying tax on these services?
So they have Canadian corporations. So like
Yeah.
Spotify
So
Canada is paying taxes in Canada.
Yeah.
Netflix Canada is paying Netflix,
Oh, I'm
you know,
I'm
taxes.
okay with the Canadian content because at the end of the day, every time I load up YouTube, it's a bunch of T series uh, songs and Bollywood songs and 100 million views, this and that, and it's not me watching them. It just thinks I'm a brown guy, so maybe I'll like them. Um,
And you
but
probably do, which is why I keep showing them.
I, be- I think the more important question is, what do you define as Canadian content?
So
Is
that's
it
where
just
this.
is it just a Canadian, like if a Canadian Bhangra track, like let's say Musewala's music, which was some of it was made in Brampton, technically that's Canadian content. If he was
Mhm.
Canadian, I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, then I'm okay with it. I don't have an issue. If it gives a platform for local people rather than only international stuff, why not?
But here's the
I'm okay
thing:
with it.
so one of the critiques of the bill is it's so broadly defined that it has such a weird way of impacting uh, content creators. Because right now, content creation differed from traditional media in that we are served voices from all around the world that we may not have been exposed to in traditional media sense, right? But all of a
Right.
sudden, if I'm a YouTuber in America or I'm a YouTuber from India, my ability to reach Canadians has been limited and thwarted by the Canadian government only serving Canadian creators first and like directing that algorithm in a way that's kind of unfair now.
But then that kind of allows Canadian creators to make more money, doesn't it? So if you're located in Canada, this is a beneficial bill for you.
Possibly, but it could
Forget
also.
forget the international guys. Who cares about the international guys? Let's
But
just talk
now,
about Canada.
but now it hurts them because now companies like YouTube and Spotify and Netflix are all of a sudden forced, not even just by Canadian government, say the Indian government wants to come in and say, hey, YouTube, you can only show content and serve content by Indian creators, or
Yeah, but
Hey
but
America,
the in
YouTube.
countries like that, even our country, we want the American content. So if India goes all Indian content, then maybe they watch. I don't know.
Yeah, so right before I got interrupted, uh, no, it's the thinking that other countries can have the same impact on our stuff. And all of a sudden now Canadian creators are at a disadvantage in a world market where every country is just dictating their own agenda.
I don't know, man. That's a hard. It's a hard.
You're going
The
full liberal on
implications
this,
of it
eh?
for me are the implications for me are very hard to comprehend, possibly on the grand scale. I mean, what's the percentage? What's the percentage of saying? Is it 20%? Is it 60% that they require for Canadian content? If it's something like 5 or 10, who cares?
Yeah, I think
That's not
for
much.
radio, but I think radio is like every hour six of the songs need to be Canadian every hour.
But it could be from any culture. It doesn't have to be.
No, yeah, it's not.
It just be Canadian based, so it could be a Canadian Bhangra artist, a Canadian
Yeah,
Spanish artist,
it doesn't
whatever
have to be
they're.
like
It doesn't have to be Canada, like as in just English speaking.
or French
Joe from
speaking.
Newfoundland, right? Huh?
Yeah, yeah. From my understanding, but that's one of the things that everyone's like, this is way too broad. I think the real threat people have over it is, what if the government starts dictating what they can and can't say? Would people who support beliefs that the government doesn't like crypto, all of a sudden, or Pierre is pro crypto, everyone needs to sign on to his crypto beliefs? Are they served more of that content? Can the government really push?
Do you think our government? I don't think our government's that smart.
Yeah, so that this is where like
I don't.
the
I really don't think there's some evil genius sitting at some big board table saying, "Oh, we're going to control the minds of Canadians. This is the first stone that we're setting in the foundation plan." Like I don't think they're that intelligent, or we would be living in a pretty stress-free time. Look, I think they make bad. They must have their reasons. It'd be a good decision, bad decision. That's obviously for the public to judge, but it's not like these things can't be turned around, right? Like, let's be honest, that's the country we live in. If they want
yeah,
to turn something around, they can.
they could undo the laws,
Right.
but they seldom do because every government decides that they can leverage them for their own sake.
Yeah,
It's
fair
like
enough. But I
taxes. Everyone
mean,
says, "Hey, we don't like your taxes," but once the tax is in place, most governments keep them because they're like, "Hey, it's revenue in, helps
so
us
is
pass our
this
budget."
is this a tax?
No, it's not a
Like, are they
tax. No, so
then? Yeah,
C11 is not a tax. It's more of a rule set based that they're imposing on companies. Um, I remember years ago there was a bill that basically wanted ISPs to be able to control and filter out and push Canadian content a little
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
And the big crux there again was, hey, stop looking at what I'm using the internet for. The internet should just be a tube, and
That's more
I should be,
monitoring. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And people were mad at that, and some people are bringing back the implications of that on these sites, saying now the government's picking and choosing what you're fed.
No, but they're telling the places like YouTube that you have to provide content. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it fits the rules of being Canadian content, right? So I think that's the important thing. If they just said, yeah, we want to have more exposure for Canadian-based
Creators.
creators, people, news outlets, I'm generally okay with that.
All
You
right,
know,
fair enough.
Mhm.
Now I think it's safe to switch over to our other topic that we. I like how
And sad,
we do a real
sadder news.
sandwich, right? In sadder news, there was the
Yeah.
bombing in Afghanistan. Afghanistan. Uh,
Mm.
Another Sikh Gurdwara was targeted. I don't know how many lives were taken this one. I think I read that 3, 4 lives were taken.
3 or 4, yeah, yeah.
And I'm
One
sure the
for
number.
sure. There was one gentleman for sure. So
Yeah, one gentleman for sure. He was a Taliban fighter or member of the Taliban. He was there defending the
he
lot.
was defending. That's the key thing here. He was defending.
So
I would never thought I would say that, but yes, he was
yeah, so I
defending.
saw like Sikh accounts saying, this martyr, Muslim martyr defended the Sikh. This Taliban fighter died a martyr for the Sikhs. And I'm thinking about them like, this is a weird world we live in. And I saw another tweet saying it's really blowing right wing Sikhs' minds knowing that a Taliban fighter died defending like a Gurdwara. I'm like, it is twisting my mind because I have these preconceived notions of who the Taliban are. Taliban bad, and they
Yeah.
probably are. And
Well,
then
I think as much as Taliban hates everybody, they hate ISIS just as much.
yeah,
And I
ISIS
think
hates
ISIS
them.
ISIS claimed responsibility, right? So
And I also think it's more the Taliban want to run a government,
yeah,
and they can't be seen as the ones being weak.
soft on terrorism. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, if it was another group, maybe then they'd come in. But I know like Sikhs made concessions with the Taliban in the past on how to live, how to coexist, even if it wasn't like the best of situations. It's just
Yeah,
it's this
I do
weird
wonder during
whole nexus
during
that
the
we're kind of
American
in.
occupation. It'd be interesting, like the relationships they had during the American occupation with everybody, right?
Hmm.
Maybe the Taliban didn't see them as any kind of threat. They kind of left them alone, and who knows, man? But yeah, what's the future for these guys out there? I mean, there's only a handful, I think, left now, right?
From
In
my
Kabul, there's
understanding,
not
there's
that
only 100 from what I've read. I can't now. I don't know if that was 100 families. I don't think it's 100 families. I think it was 100. The community
100
is only about
people.
100 people left. Um,
So
and
like half a plane, yeah,
yeah,
essentially half a plane.
and
Yeah.
this is the thing that's irked Canadian Six for so long is from since 2015 when they really started working on this. Like the call came to get them out,
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we want out. Can you guys help us?" It's been falling on deaf ears. The community has said, "We're gonna pay for their housing. We're gonna pay for the resettlement. We're gonna pay for the flight. All
Yeah.
we need from the government is the papers to say that we'll allow them into the country when
Yeah.
we bring them.
Yeah.
We'll even take care of the logistics surrounding picking them up. We'll find an airline. We'll find a pilot. We'll find all these things. We'll do all the heavy work. All we need from you is a sign off saying sure." Um,
Politicians, man.
and the
That's the
polit-
problem.
and what's
Simple.
whack is we legit brought in cats and dogs, stray cats and dogs from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The Canadian government bent over and made sure that they arranged the flight for them, got them on board, brought them to safety. They probably got freaking put down when they arrived, man. Who knows what happened to those pets and if they got adopted and how they're all doing now.
But
But
I mean,
it's
am
just
I
weird
right to
that
assume? Am I right to? I know India hasn't really responded to their request as well. How about the Sikhs in the UK and America? Is there any movement on in those countries for the plight of these people, or is it more? Has it just been more of a Canadian, our Canadian community that's really been focused on trying to help them? I mean, I would assume that other countries, maybe their politicians have,
I see what you're
maybe
saying.
allow the papers. I mean, getting them
Yeah.
out's the problem now, right? Getting them out is a whole nother logistical nightmare because
Yeah, new
you know,
government and all that. But
yeah,
so
yeah.
from my understanding, I know there's a sizable Sikh community in the UK. I don't know what the UK community's been doing or how they've been pulling for
I
their
mean,
country to adopt them,
the
but
home right now, refugees are not in a good place to Preeti Patel or whatever her name
well,
is. So
the the
they
Rwandan courts, something
yeah,
big
they
happened with that
well,
recently with the Supreme Court saying no, we're not. This isn't ethical or something. Like
I
the
don't know, but
judge,
there was a sick judge who approved it, so that's all I
yeah,
remember.
and people were like, that's a whole different topic that people have issues with.
Yeah, but like,
Can
I
you be a
mean,
Sikh judge or a Sikh police officer?
Is Rwanda better for these guys than
Afghanistan?
so is that something they could do and get them to Rwanda and then the community transport them out of Rwanda and
Yeah,
maybe that's a good way of doing it. I don't know. It's
a lot of the geopolitical stuff is over my head, even though I love politics. I just don't understand the
yeah,
intricacies of it. So I don't know how much the UK Sikh Sanghat or the American Sikh Sanghat have been vying their own communities and leaders to bring them over. But I do
yeah.
know it was like a big part
I
of the WSO
but
and Manmeet
I
Singh
do
Pullar
think it was
Foundation.
yes. I was going to say it was a gentleman's name.
Yeah,
Was
Manmeet Singh
the
Pullar.
kind of this he kind of started all this, right? So
So the general crux and like the timeline of how it happened was these Afghan Sikhs, they reached out to WSO. WSO at that time, not trying to find out how they could do this, approached Manmeet Singh while he was still around. Manmeet Singh, his party at that time just got out of power. He was in opposition, had a lot more
yeah,
time on his hands to like not be. So he really championed. He picked this up. Like
champion the cause. Yeah,
the WSO went to a bunch of different MPs. Manmeet Singh said, "Hey, I think I can make this happen." He had clout within his parties, and he just made it his focus to like really championship what's going on there to help bring awareness to it and bring them over. And look, they brought in 200 people. There's 100 left. Just sign the damn papers, man.
yeah. I mean, it
We've
was
seen
before obviously the exit, the American Army exit. What was the holdup? You're taking
political
people out of
will, man.
you're taking people out of Syria. You're taking people out of Ukraine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
like
this is a fair
so
criticism, is Sikh MPs, Sikh ministers, Sikh own this level of privilege and power to the prime minister, right? But it's like we're ashamed and fearful of using it for ourselves. A Tamil MP was able to get a Tamil genocide bill motion. Like that's what he went in. That's what he said. We need this. But Apne Sikh and like generally the party itself is so comfortable with us as a community. They're like, we don't need to do that for you because you're gonna be with us anyways.
yeah, but you're also giving them a pretty grand title by calling them Sikh MPs.
I mean, I'm not
You
gonna
know,
get into the
just
whole
no,
no,
no.
he's
I'm not saying no, not that they are, but the values that they act on, are they acting based on their faith or the faith they supposedly are telling the community that they belong to? Or are they, moving
uh,
on their own interests? And I think, and everybody knows my thoughts of politicians is on their own interests. So no, I don't expect them to do the right thing. I don't expect them to do anything. If they do something, I'm impressed. Like that gentleman, like you say, championed the cause, and and
see.
he's
I
remembered, and
think
he always will be remembered. But uh, if isn't I think it's I don't know, man. Like you can't rely on these people. We elect them thinking they're going to represent us, and the reality is they don't want to. They're there for other reasons, and I think us as a community needs to start accepting that. And our addiction to sick politicians is like as if these guys are going to solve all our problems. They're not going to. They might help, 100% sure, right? They might help, but they're not the forefront of the thought process or the ones championing causes. I mean, honestly, like everyone has their own opinions about people. I look at what Ravi Singh's done with Khal Said. I'm like, that's a sick. I'm just like,
I got you.
like that he represents something. To label these guys as sick MPs, you're giving them a lot of credit, which I generally don't think a lot of them have earned. That's just my
Fair
two
enough.
cents. So
Yeah. So yeah, it's disappointing news to hear about that bombing and really
yeah.
like what's the future hold for these guys now? What can we continue to do? It's money's not the problem. Honestly, the only problem is just government will. And how can we
Or
sway
honestly,
government will? I don't know.
or they don't care. They just don't care, and that's
Yeah.
the you know
Sad part of the whole situation right now.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah.
Bonded of the week, we have one. I want to say like sick and peace for not acting sooner on this file, right?
Yeah, it falls. I mean, it falls on everybody. It's just not them. We as a community have read about it. The WSO, like you said, has been doing its job, doing its the best. But I mean, it's not in my forefront of my mind. It's what's happening to those guys. I see the attack. I'm sad. The worst was that was it last year, the bombing?
There was a bombing
The
last year too,
bombing
yeah.
last year. That was like
The one that killed a
nothing
boat.
happened. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
nothing happened. So I mean, I think we all kind of failed them, not just the MPs and the politicians, right? So us as a community should reached out and kind of activated for some change, but I didn't. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than the politicians. So
Fair enough. Any closing thoughts, remarks, stories that we may have missed?
no, nothing from the top of my head. I know we said the another dark note. Unfortunately, there's a lot of darkness, but the father of the father of the 3 children who were killed by Marco Muzo committed suicide.
Is it weird that we know Marco Muzo's name, but we don't really know the children's
Yes, I don't know his name
names?
or the children's names. Really sad, and I think I was mentioning to you, man. I'm not sure of the court case and what he had to do, but I hope things need to change, man. I mean, that's a sad one, right? And I believe they got divorced, the couple, because he couldn't get over it. And what as a father, I mean, what else? There's nothing else, man. There's
Like
nothing
we were
else
saying,
left,
man,
right?
Night's Watch. You get rid of the one thing that you're watching over. What's
Yeah,
left?
what's left? Yeah,
Like
that's a
a
good point, man.
father's identity is
Your
being
purpose, your
your
purpose.
purpose is taking care of your family. All of a sudden, it's hard to. There's
Hard,
one,
man.
like I think about the one accident that happened. Was it last year, 2 years ago, where mother and children were,
Torbram countryside.
or around the countryside and taken away, and all of a sudden you
Yeah.
had this father that just
A little baby too.
all gone. Like, what is your existence now? Like, and I keep thinking, like, how do you move? It's so dark thing to
And
think about is what do you move on from? Because
you don't, man. I don't think you do. But
you can't. And
I think I was talking to you. I hope there was enough money given to him from the Muzo family, or there should have been some kind of compensation to
well,
get him.
money does nothing.
No, not money for I don't hope everybody in that situation ends their life. I mean, that's awful, but not money for himself, but money for
Mental
treatment,
care.
counseling, whatever they can get, man, whatever he needs to get a little bit out of life. But yeah, you're right. There's nothing else. Night's Watch. It's the end, right?
That's it. Man, it's a dark world we live in. All right.
Dark
Hopefully
world.
next week we'll have a little bit more of an upbeat podcast.
Yes.
Ranjit will be here. We'll be able to shit on him.
Glad you were back. We'll shit on him. He's always good to shit on.
But he's doing his Night's Watch duty today, so respect him for that. I hope this Star Wars episode lives up to the hype. I'm so like,
We will talk about it. So if you're gonna listen next week, please, and you haven't watched it, don't listen.
but even the number of people who
if
say
you
we don't give
listen-
enough spoiler warnings for Star Wars.
Yeah.
We just go right
Get
into
over
it.
yourself. Get over yourself.
All right. On
All right,
that
man.
note, appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening, and please continue to share.
Peace.
Peace.